Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be talking about how the narcissistic relationship has affected your physical health. Maybe you have a hormone imbalance. Maybe you've created an autoimmune disease. The narcissist puts so much damage on us, we don't even realize it. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, guys. JT here. Super excited to be here. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend so far. It is Sunday. It's the relax day. And I'm super stoked for all your comments. I love reading through them all and giving as much advice as I can as possible. Hearing other empaths with similar stories also gives me a lot of motivation to keep doing these videos every single day and to keep putting out the good content that I know is going to help change some people's lives, help you become authentically yourself and be the best version of yourself after narcissistic abuse. So yeah, I read a bunch of comments this morning. I probably answered around 100 of them, and I'm so grateful for all of you guys. And there's so many people out there that have gone through these similar types of narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic relationships. And it helps me understand as well. Like I've done a lot of research, read many books, and watched tons and tons of videos. And I still, when I read comments, you guys teach me things, and you guys help me remember certain aspects of my narcissistic dynamic that I totally forgot about. So thank you for all of your comments and all of your support. I really appreciate it. And let's like and subscribe this, get it out to as many people as possible, help people get on their healing journey and become the best versions of themselves. And yeah, let's talk about the narcissist, the hormone imbalance that you might be in, the dopamine, the serotonin, the cortisol, autoimmune disease. Woo! The list goes on and on, right? So I talked about this in the last video a little bit, but essentially our brain's chemistry actually changes and gets rewired in a narcissistic relationship. You know, in the love bombing stage, you're getting hit with tons and tons and tons of dopamine and serotonin constantly. So you have now become an addict. You're an addict for the love of the narcissist. And just like anything in life, when you have too much of something, what ends up happening? It ends up wreaking havoc on your life. And there is so many reported documents of people going through narcissistic relationships and getting autoimmune disease. I myself have been going through throat surgeries now for 2.5 years. It had started before my narcissistic relationship, but I have a hiatal hernia, a tear, and I actually just found this out after 2.5 years of being in and out of the doctors. And when I was with the narcissist, it got 100 times worse, like 100 times worse. And I've done research and seen people getting Huntington's disease, Hashimoto's disease, all these different types of autoimmune diseases after being with a narcissist. Why is that? Well, when a narcissist changes your brain chemistry and steals your identity and you don't feel like yourself, your entire self has been destroyed, essentially, including everything going on in your brain. So when you go through this narcissistic relationship, a lot of things get affected. Your hormones, you know, your moods, your mood stabilization. You know, everything in the body is hormones and chemicals. Everything is chemicals. And when you get in that narcissistic relationship, all your chemical levels are changing, and the timing of the chemicals when they're supposed to be released is inverted. And if they get inverted, now your complete sense of self is gone. It's gone. Your what is it called? Autonomy is destroyed. So after a narcissistic relationship, this is why I teach so much on breaking the trauma bond, breaking the soul tie if you have it, and going on your healing journey and isolating yourself. Because when everything gets manipulated and changed in your body as far as chemistry goes, When you get out of the narcissistic relationship, if you just go on your merry way and you continue, going out and drinking and doing your normal thing, that's not going to help change all the chemistry that took place, all the changed hormones that took place during the narcissistic relationship, right? The only way to change it back and get back to homeostasis is you have to isolate yourself and get away from all the things in the world that are giving you different types of thoughts, manipulations. When you watch the news, like when you're on social media constantly scrolling, all those things are worldly things that are not making you who you truly are at a core level. Everything, all the propaganda in the world, it's all manipulation from the world. The news and the Netflix and Amazon and this and that. And I watch my movies. I'm a big movie buff, but when you're watching shows upon shows and it's like a repetitive cycle, you get a dopamine hit from that. You get a dopamine hit and now you have to always seek that dopamine hit. It's the same thing with the narcissist. So when you were in that love bombing stage and you got all that dopamine and serotonin, you felt good all the time, then you went into the devalue stage. You're not getting the same dopamine and serotonin level. So now you're trying to get the validation of the narcissist even more. You're doing even more for them. It's a manipulation tactic, right? And then they give you the little breadcrumbs here and there to give you those dopamine and serotonin hits so that you can feel okay and continue on in the toxic cycle. So with the dopamine, I'm going to go into this more when we're out of the narcissistic series, because I've done a lot of self-help. I've done everything you can imagine: meditation, yoga, like I said, monk mode, celibacy, semen retention, isolation, sauna, heat therapy. I've done it all the spiritual practices. I haven't gone on an ayahuasca journey, which I've thought about for about a year now, which is plant medicine. Usually you go to Peru or one of the more jungle type of places, and it's a spiritual journey. That'd be one thing that I'm still contemplating, but I've done everything. And when it comes to dopamine detox, I will do full dopamine detox videos in the future when we're out of the Narcissist series. But when it comes to a dopamine detox, you've gotten the narcissist out of your life. Hopefully you've blocked them. Hopefully you've gotten rid of all the pictures, all the gifts, all the things that remind you. Because you have to think about it like this. If you have stuff laying around your house and you are getting dopamine constantly from the narcissist, you're still getting a dopamine hit every time you see that gift or you start thinking about them. Because when those things are around your house, it triggers a thought, which the thought ends up pulling out an emotion. And if the thought pulls out of emotion, now you're getting a dopamine hit thinking about the narcissist, right? It's so... It's so intricate, we don't realize how deep it really goes. And so if you're getting those dopamine hits, even out of the narcissist life, you have to rewire your brain to get dopamine from the normal things you're used to getting dopamine. That's the same thing why we get stuck on Instagram and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll and you look at every single person, what they're doing every single day. Dopamine hits. I got off of Instagram a while ago, and best thing I ever did. Hate it. Absolutely hate it. Takes up so much time. You could be doing so many better things with your life, and I'm not trying to put anyone down. If you are on Instagram, that's fine. If you do it for business or whatever, or if you can control yourself and you don't think it's an addiction where you can, look at it for 5 minutes a day, then it's totally cool. Most people can't do that though, because an addiction, and when you have the dopamine, serotonin in your brain, it's very hard to break that. That's why especially men with porn is one of the hardest things to get away from, especially when men start at a young age. The dopamine hit from porn is oh, I forgot. I can't say that word. Prawn. When the young men get addicted to the prawn and they're looking at it for years and years and years, that dopamine hit is so strong that a dopamine hit from regular S3X, yes, got you, YouTube. You ain't gonna get me. From S3X isn't as strong. And it's the same thing with the S3X with the narcissist, when you're getting that crazy dopamine hit and then you go to someone that's an empath or someone that's calm, the dopamine hit isn't as great, so therefore you think the S3X isn't as good. It's all chemicals. It's all chemicals. Everything is chemicals. When you look at it in that way, you can start to understand the dynamic between you and the narcissist a lot better. That it wasn't mostly in the physical, it was really in the spiritual and what's going on in the chemical part of your body. So when you're detoxing from the narcissist, get rid of everything, anything that triggers a thought. And again, you have to break the trauma bond and soul tie to really get rid of everything, get rid of the telepathy, when they're sending you songs, thoughts at nighttime, all that stuff. You have to break the trauma bond and soul tie. But when it comes to fixing your dopamine, I recommend isolating yourself for a season, 2 seasons. When I first did it, I gave up TV for the first month. I didn't watch TV for a month, and instead I read books. And now my brain started getting a dopamine hit from reading. So you have to retrain your brain to get dopamine from the things in life that you normally liked. Why? Most people love reading books in childhood, all the way up, high school, college. And then, once you get introduced to Netflix shows and everything else, now your brain is getting a higher dopamine hit from TV and from movies and going to shows, going to concerts. You're getting higher levels of dopamine, so you're not gonna, seek out your old dopamine source, which was reading or looking through a magazine or drawing or playing music, So with the narcissist, get rid of everything. Those are your mini dopamine hits that you're still getting, even if you're out of contact with them, you block them, they're not in your life. Got to get rid of everything. And then isolate yourself. I did this in steps. I didn't do it all at once, but look at the things that give you the most dopamine and start to change them. So if you're not going to the gym 5 days a week, 4 days a week, start going to the gym, getting your dopamine hits from the gym. Start calculating your steps a day, walk, whatever, 10,000 steps every single day. Get your dopamine hits from that. Keep listening to different YouTube videos on narcissism. Get your dopamine hits from learning so that you get the closure of letting go of the narcissist. You have to rewire your brain to get these new dopamine hits from ways that are going to actually benefit your life and not hurt it. Because if you're still getting dopamine hits and seeing things in the house that were from the narcissist or pictures or looking at their Instagram or whatever else, you're still connected to them. You're still telling your brain, oh, this dopamine hit feels so good to look at their pictures. So if you're doing that, it's going to take so much longer to heal. If you want to be done, you want to be done now with the narcissist, you have to isolate yourself, get rid of everything, maybe stop going out for alcohol for a month or however long. I don't like to put numbers on things because every single person is unique and an individual. So you have to decide for yourself what you need, and not everyone has a very addictive personality. I have an addictive personality. This whole sleeve tattoo, I was a heroin addict 9 years ago, 10 years ago, and I was very addicted to opiates. And for me, I never had an off switch. Once I did it once, it was all day, every day for 2 years. So not everyone is like that. I had a friend that would buy a pack of cigarettes and he'd smoke 1 to 3 cigarettes only on the weekends, only when he went out to drink. Just a couple, only on the weekends, never during the week. And he could have the pack of cigarettes sitting on his table throughout the week. I've smoked cigarettes in my past, probably about 1.5 years, 2 years. If I bought a pack of cigarettes, I'm smoking the pack of cigarettes every single day. All of them, 20 of them, maybe even more. I used to be really bad, but my point is everyone is different. So you have to decide for yourself how long you might need to isolate, how long you might need to not go out for drinks with friends, etc. You really want to get rid of any kind of distraction in your life. Anything you are giving energy to, you need to put the energy into yourself. Because the more energy you put into yourself, the faster you're going to heal. So that, as far as dopamine goes, that would be how you would do it. Get rid of all of your mini addictions, your dopamine hits that you normally get, rewire your brain, put the dopamine into the things that are actually going to benefit your life. When we're talking about cortisol, so cortisol is the stress hormone, And when you have, let's say, caffeine that raises your cortisol levels, you're more likely to gain stubborn fat when your cortisol levels are higher, because cortisol is like keeping you in a calm state. So I don't drink caffeine, but when I did, it's a 50-50 because the caffeine also is a thermogenic, so you're also getting a boost in metabolism, so you're burning more calories. Your NEAT energy levels are higher throughout the day because you're burning more calories doing the normal things you're doing. But then on the offside, you're also blocking the cortisol or raising the cortisol. So that's a tough one. But with cortisol in a narcissistic relationship, you're stressed out all the time. So your cortisol levels are through the roof. That's why it's super easy to gain weight, because you're stressed out all the time. So reducing the cortisol levels, you need to find those stress relievers, your new stress relievers. So again, same thing. It's the same thing with the isolation and the dopamine. Go to the gym, do 5,000 steps a day, 10,000 steps a day, whatever it is. Start reading, start filling your mind with knowledge. Get the minimal amount of stress in your life, like at a baseline. You don't want to be stressed out all the time. And when you think about the narcissist, when you're ruminating about them, when you're seeing things, you're just raising your stress levels up because you want to be done. You want to be done with that relationship, and you can't do it if you see stuff all the time. So not only are you still getting the dopamine hits, now your cortisol is higher, you're more likely to gain weight, you're going to be more stressed out, you're going to have bouts of depression, anxiety, PTSD, CPTSD. The list goes on and on and on. And not to mention the autoimmune diseases that come with it. The last thing you want is to get an autoimmune disease. Take it from me, because I've been dealing with it for 2.5 years. It is not fun. And with autoimmune diseases, it can be there 1,000 different ones. There's so many different ones, and to diagnose them are very difficult. Like, I've been in and out of the doctor for 2.5 years now, constantly trying to figure it out. It took 2.5 years, probably 50 doctor's appointments, all different tests to finally figure out what was wrong with me. So you got to understand, when you go through this narcissistic relationship, it changes your chemistry, changes your body, changes everything about you. So it's so important to get rid of it as soon as possible, and to really put all that energy back into yourself, into getting your brain chemistry back to how it used to be. And when I used to, I almost said it, look at prawn, probably looked at it for 13 years. I haven't in a year and a half, a little over a year. And once I got rid of that dopamine, it changed my life. One of the best things I could have ever done. I highly recommend it. And there's so many benefits to it. I'm not going to do it all in this video, but there's so many things that we're getting dopamine from that do not benefit our life. We're getting dopamine from the wrong things. And we got dopamine from the narcissist, which is a wrong thing. So now we're coming to the point where it's time for your healing. The only way you're going to do that is by taking the time and isolating yourself and stripping away everything that the world has put onto you. What does it say in the Bible? Be within the world, but not of the world. You can be in the world, but not of the world, not be a worldly person. This is easier said than done. There's so many temptations and whatnot, but I really, really believe that when you go through that narcissistic relationship, as bad as it is, I've heard all your comments, I know your stories, that it happened for a reason. It happened for us, not to us, and that it was meant to awaken us to the true evil that is in the world, and to help us become our best version of ourselves, because we would have never been able to do it if we didn't get in that narcissistic relationship. And going back to what we're talking about in this video with the chemicals, when you start to get your brain right, when you start to get your cortisol levels lower, your dopamine, your serotonin, everything starts evening out, the normal things that you used to love, you'll end up loving again. And that's the key. When you can get back to that homeostasis of who you were before the narcissistic relationship, everything ends up working out. And I always like to say this quote, who you were is not who you are. Who you were is not who you are. You loved people before the narcissist, did you not? So you're gonna be able to do it again. You know, you've loved people, you loved yourself before the narcissistic relationship, you're gonna be able to do it again. But you have to focus on you. You have to put all that energy into you. It's easy for me to just tell you, but at the end of the day, you have to make the decision to do it. It doesn't matter if you have some mess ups here and there, you have some relapses. I've had it many times. I've relapsed many times on different things over the years. The prawn. Oh God, prawn. I'm gonna have to write things on my hand. Don't say this. Oh, you can say that. Oh, don't say this. Oh man, it's gonna be tough for me to get used to. But I've had relapses with everything. Don't feel bad if, you know, you look at the social media after 2 months. Shit happens, you know? We're all human beings. No one is perfect on this planet. No one. Not me, not you. So even if you have a relapse, even if you look at the social media, you send a text, you do an email, it's okay. Just learn from it. That's all this life is a learning lesson. This is school. Our whole life is school. If you don't learn from the lessons, you're gonna repeat the same cycles over and over until you do learn the lesson. So maybe you message the narcissist for the next 6 months. You're gonna keep putting yourself in pain, but maybe it takes that 6 months for you to learn the lesson that you don't go back. They ain't changing. They ain't ever gonna change. It's impossible. So I hope that I'm sorry I was a little serious there. I like to keep it, you know, fun and lighthearted most of the time because that's me being authentically myself. But sometimes I have to be more strict just so you guys can understand, like, we have consequences for our actions. And if you're taking an action and looking at the social media every once in a while, or responding to an email, or whatever it is, there's gonna be a consequence to that action. That consequence might be, oh, now you're gonna feel really shitty again for the next month. So with the relapses, everyone is human beings. Just take it with a grain of salt, learn the lesson, and move forward, you know? I hope that was insightful for you guys. I'll go deeper on the chemicals and the science. I try and, like I said, I am not no PhD, I am not no doctor. I know the majority of like chemical imbalances and whatnot from my bodybuilding days, from, you know, over a decade of learning about what caffeine does and what creatine and this supplement and fish oil and all. Like, I've learned from fitness about the different side effects and whatnot of dopamine, serotonin, all that kind of stuff. And now I'm relating it into the narcissism as well. But I'll do more in-depth videos. This is just, you know, kind of like, I like to broaden it. And again, I'm not no PhD, I'm not a psychiatrist. I like to do these videos as educational and to try and keep them light so that you guys can understand that you will heal and it is possible. And I recommend to all of you, don't just watch my channel, watch other narcissistic channels. You know, I understand that you can like people based on maybe their knowledge or their personality. I try and put as much personality into this as possible. When I started watching all my narcissistic YouTubers, narcissism awareness YouTubers talk about narcissism, the majority, 99% of them are very, very serious, and you know, maybe 50% of them are extremely educational and in-depth, and like the doctor ones are like super in-depth. And you know, I thought about doing videos like that and just going real deep with it, but that's not who I am, you know. So I hope you guys like this kind of flow that I have, how I do these videos. And if you want me to go more in depth, you know, I totally will. But I just think there's so many videos that I can do on this stuff that I could do them forever, like forever. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and you know, just remember that everything happens to you for you, not to you. And this chemical imbalance, the dopamine hits that you're seeking out, the cortisol levels, the autoimmune diseases, physical health, mental health, PTSD, CPTSD, word tongue-tied right now. But all those different types of things can be fixed. They can be fixed. The only way they're gonna get fixed though is if you have the self-awareness and you keep watching videos and you keep getting your closure and you keep learning about this serious illness, that's going to allow you to figure your own self out and take the proper steps to make your healing journey as fast and swift as possible. That's what we all want. We want to heal, we want to move on from the narcissist, and we want to live our best life and attract someone of equal reciprocity. You're not going to attract someone of equal reciprocity if you're still ruminating about the narcissist, if you have a trauma bond with the narcissist. If you haven't isolated yourself and done the inner work, you're still going to keep attracting that same toxic cycle over and over again. Because if you have those dopamine hits, the cortisols, all that stuff, all those chemicals are still firing when it's connected to that narcissist, when you get with someone healthy, you're going to ruin that other person. So you owe it not only to yourself to heal, but you owe it to your dream spouse, the person you were meant to be with. You owe it to them to heal and become the best version of yourself. Namaste. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy this Sunday. I'm going to go do yard work. I don't want to, but I have to. And just, keep on trucking, keep on pushing it along. You will heal. I promise you, if you put in the work, just like anything in life, practice makes perfect. You might have relapses. You might have days, weeks, months that are way more difficult, but just know you will get through it. If you put in the time and you genuinely try to heal, you will heal. But I promise you, if you keep doing the same stuff you've been doing, getting the dopamine hits from the same things, your healing journey can last years, if not decades. You do not want that. I've read it in the comments many, many times. Decades, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, still thinking about the narcissist. You don't want that. That is slavery. You do not have peace of mind. You do not have yourself. So I hope that you take that with caution and know that you can, right now, heal if you want to. All right, guys, take care, enjoy the day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Later.